Okay, so let's get this done quickly, not because of a bad product, just because it's crazy hot inside of here. So, Xsound H5D, active noise cancelling Bluetooth headphones for a price of around 60 euros. If you live in Germany and you can use the Amazon code, you would actually get them for 40 euros, which obviously improves the value even further. But are they good for 60? Well, let's find out. What I definitely like quite a lot is the design, because they have more of a designer headphone look. I like the headband, the nice padding here, the build quality feels fine, they used nice materials here with the protein leather, everything feels executed very well. I don't see any bigger imperfection or anything I could fault them on for this price. For example, here we have proper buttons, I like that, I don't really have to get into the controls. So volume, long presses for the next step. Here we have the ANC button or the switch. That feels like it has 3 steps, but it can't be because it only does something on the last one, so maybe not that great. After all, the build quality, but that's the only thing. Otherwise, the power button, micro USB. Then I really like one fact, those nice cups, because these are super soft, the cutout is big enough, and well, if I put them on, I also think that these look very, very elegant, especially comparing them, for example, to the Tribit X3 Tune that I recently reviewed. Those look a lot more bulky, and therefore I like these. And what I also like is the fact that the cutout is big enough, and due to them being so soft, they kind of mold around. Now, this maybe won't allow for so much breathing since they kind of go completely around it, and after a while you will get some sweat around it, but the clamping force otherwise really well balanced because it's not too strong, and especially if it is that strong a little bit, it actually gets balanced out due to the clamping force really well. They therefore sit very secure, they feel very lightweight. So comfort is really good, maybe not for long term, especially if it gets hotter, but otherwise the fit is great, and the isolation is also pretty good because I hear myself muffled, but in a very, very natural way. But already talking about the isolation, these are ANC headphones, so what happens if you turn the ANC on? Well, without any playback, I'm gonna just say this, the ANC, well, doesn't do that much. It filters out pretty much just the low end, so some humming and so will work, but what it does in the mids and the highs, it pretty much just thins out the sound, but you will still be able to hear it. So that's not really noise cancelling, it's more like noise thinning, if that's maybe the right word. So maybe not that great, but for basic noise cancelling it might work. But once you actually use them with audio, you will notice a big decrease in terms of maximum volume. Now, if that's still good enough for you, you are fine. And if you listen without any music to the ANC, what you might notice, if you, for example, just sit in a plane and you don't want any noise, but also not listen to music, what you will hear is some odd little bit of static while ANC is working. If you listen to any sort of music on the lowest step, you won't really hear it anymore, and you shouldn't be bothered, but just to be kept in mind. Otherwise, in terms of codecs, only SBC with Bluetooth 4.2, but as said in my recent review, SBC isn't as bad as many might think, especially if you watch a shorter video. The video doesn't really get a chance to get out of sync, because I personally noticed that if I watch a longer video or if I skip along through the track more, then it gets out of sync. But in most normal situations, this is fine, especially considering the price. Anything else just wasn't really to be expected. The connection was stable. Background noise, not really an issue. It was super quiet, especially with only one volume step already. I didn't hear it. Volume, in my opinion, could be a little bit louder, especially with some reserves, and even more so if you turn on noise cancellation. Because if I had noise cancellation on, I didn't nearly get the volume that I wanted to, because I didn't really get it even without the noise cancellation. But I got close enough. For 95% of the people, it will be good enough. They claim about 20 hours. I mean, if they get 10, it would be fine for this price, so I'm good with that. Microphone quality is actually pretty good, even though also, if you don't talk, you will hear some static going on, and it has some sharp spikes, but otherwise it's quite okay. Now, soundstage, I would say it's normal, just like the imaging. I mean, if you listen closer, you will hear it being a little bit muddy, a little bit washed out, so not that precise. But at this price, it's still okay. And there is a little bit of slight focus on the vocals, which is nice, with good dynamics. In terms of sound signature, I would say they are slightly thick after all, because we have some emphasized bass and we have enough highs, but especially the mid-range just felt a little bit too close to the bass, and everything also felt very compressed. So SBC was more noticeable here, but the general sound just didn't feel wide, and there was not that much definition between that. For this price, I mean, you can't expect it, and I wouldn't if I wouldn't have had the Tribit here. Sound, okay, bass. Sub bass was solid. The presence of the normal bass was, I would definitely say, slightly fat, slightly thick. It's also a little bit slow because I noticed if you have very fast-paced bass, it just can't keep up with it and gets very uncontrolled and also a little bit muddy. Just no real definition here, but generally it's okay, especially since it's boosted a little bit more. If you want a lot of bass, you will get that, but don't expect high-quality bass. Otherwise, vocals, nice, full and warm. Clarity was actually surprisingly good, not nearly on a tribute level though. Otherwise, to the highs, I would say just about enough so it doesn't feel dull. And it's actually a little bit clearer than some other ones out there. And sibilance, maybe a tad little bit, but nothing that I really bothered about because I actually prefer a little bit of sibilance because then it feels like a little bit more clarity, openness, and also some details get through a little bit more. In terms of sound genres, which one does it fit? Well, I have to say that rock, and especially if it's not too fast, actually makes quite a lot of fun. Pop music also, metal, bass, well, if it's not that fast, maybe, yeah, but there it just lacks control and precision. And for ballads, I don't think this is kind of sophisticated enough, but I don't think anyone will listen to classic on these and expect a great experience. Otherwise, pros and cons. I really like the design. I really like the comfort, even though maybe not for the longest period of time in a hot environment, but the fit is absolutely great, especially that for the price, pretty solid, a decent sound with a pretty, I would say, pleasant sound signature. ANC is on board, even though it's not the best. There are still some cons. Sound-wise, it's not that well balanced, especially on the thicker, uncontrolled side. So you can't expect too much quality here, and it's only SBC. So for who are these? If you don't want to spend too much money, but you desperately want ANC and you want something stylish, then you can consider these. But if for this price, kind of like maximum sound quality, but still great comfort and so on, is your thing. If you can still get these, get something like the Tribute X Tune 3. They have a so much better sound. I mean, I liked these already when I tried them. I noticed the flaws and all those kind of things, but once I switched to these really weren't an option anymore. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Until next time, bye.